What I'm going to show you now is a little trick that I think a lot of the artists using mesh are doing, or should be doing, because it makes a lot of sense. And that is patchwork. When you're doing a complete mesh, and I'm going to jump to artwork in a wireframe preview for a moment. Look at how complex the hair, the eyes, the lips, everything became. And sometimes while you're doing that, it's almost impossible to end up with perfect shapes or perfect blends all the time. Now what I did here, and I'm just going to click once on it, you can see in the layer I have my original artwork and I locked it up. And I have just one of the patches on a new layer so I can turn it off and on. And I'm going to turn that off for a moment. You can see over here I have my transparencies up, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But I'm going to turn off this layer 2, which is that mask. And you can see right across here there is some hard edged mesh that makes it look a little like a scar. Now I could have fixed that, but it would have taken an enormous amount of time for me to fix that, and I did not want to spend the time and fix it, especially for just a simple piece of artwork like this. So what did I do? Well, I went to the original, I hid my mesh of the face in this, and I went back to just the original face, and I meshed in this piece right here. And if I click on it, you can see that it is just like every other square that I've made, and I meshed in on an angle so I had the nice little blends that I needed, but I also wanted it to meet up with the original colors exactly, and unless it was point for point it wouldn't work. And because I angled this one, it was going to be much harder and I didn't want to bother. So what did I do? Well, I'm going to click on it with my solid arrow, and you're going to notice that my transparency comes up. I made an opacity mask of this piece, and I can release that opacity mask and show you what it's made up of. And I'm going to move this piece off for the moment. Now this is the mesh piece I made, and what I was concentrating on is this right over here. That's all I wanted. Then I made myself a black shape, and I'm going to make another copy of this one. I'm going to go to my appearance palette, and I'm going to bring that out for you. And you're going to see that my appearances have a Gaussian blur, and if I turn that off, you can see that it was a solid shape. So all I did was draw the shape around the area that I knew I wanted it. I added the blur so it would have a soft edge. I put it where it needed to be. Then I selected both pieces, the mesh, the shape being on top. Went to my transparency palette, clicked on the submenu down to make opacity mask, and then when it comes up as a default it will come up this way, and then I'm just going to invert mask. So what does it do? It only shows through wherever there was black, and where it was fuzzy and blended out to clear, it went to clear as well. So now I'm going to bring back my original colors. I'm going to move the transparency mask. Actually, I'm going to leave this here because I want to show you one more thing. I'm going to move this out of the way and this out of the way. Now you can see if I move that, that is a perfect blend into that shape for her face. Now when you're working with those opacity masks, if I click it, you see how this comes up? You'll notice in your layer, if you click on, and right here, right now it says layer 2, if you click on the artwork part of it, layer 2 will stay that way. But if you click on this black shape or the opacity mask, the whole layer shows you now the masking element only. And you can see from my preview here, if I go back and forth, I'm going to hide the background so it goes a little quicker. Notice how the wireframe switches to the mesh wireframe to the mask wireframe. Mesh, mask. So I'm going to go back to the artwork and bring back up the piece, and now I'll bring this out of the way. Click off, and of course look at the artwork at full size. And there you go. That's how the artists are patching in pieces and finishing up very complex areas.